Captain Marvel #2. We didn't love Captain Marvel #1.
No, we did not.
I'll let everybody know, and me and you will have a discussion on whether or not things have improved or gotten worse. It's written by Alyssa Wong, art by Jan Balzaduea, Brian Valenza on colors, letters by VC's Ariana Mayer. We start in the negative zone where Carol, Captain Marvel, is there, and that sets the tone for what has already been the 2 issues. And this issue itself is that Carol is taking back seat to new character self-insert Una Yang. And I said it in the first issue, I hate to use that self-insert deal. I hate to use catchphrases and things like that. But when things happen the way they do, sometimes you have to use those things. And so the play of this book so far in 2 issues, even after this one, is that Una Yang is the star of this book. This is a Una Yang book co-starring Captain Marvel. Now, if you are somebody who doesn't like Captain Marvel per se, because there's a lot of haters out there, that doesn't mean this is better. Like, this doesn't mean that, oh my God, this sounds cool because I don't really love Captain Marvel. No, it's really not that great. And by the end of this issue, most of, if not all of the problems are solved by not Captain Marvel, but Una Yang, who suddenly just knows everything, ends up being this crazy deal, and we just focus on her. We start in the negative zone with Carol, who's saying, hey, Una, what's going on? We have to practice this whole, Negaband thing, and me being in the negative zone and you not being in the negative zone, while Una is there in school, Empire State University, trying to get a date with her, I guess, lab partner or her deal. They're going to end up doing this whole, they're doing a group project, Leonore, who is there. I'm kind of here for Captain Marvel. Yeah. And Captain Marvel is, again, regulated to rubbing things in the negative zone, saying, hey, what do you think this is? I mean, they're pretty much playing charades of the negative zone. Hey, what am I rubbing? Oh, is that a chair? It is. That's what we're getting. This is what this book is about. So while you have Una, trying to get a date, the school gets attacked because the thing is, she has these negabands. This is something big. They ended up getting these by getting the hands cut off of Genis-Vell with this huge end-of-world villain coming at him. And this is where you have Una Yang surprised that she might have people around her in danger, and also surprised that Genis-Vell is coming back for the negabands, and that the Omen, this big villain, is not taken care of completely. And it's kind of ridiculous. Even in that, the way you're playing these negabands in the negative zone, at a point, it really feels like, what do they have, the negative zone app? It feels like at points that Una looks on her phone and says, oh my God, check this out, Carol. And then Carol's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous what is going on in this book and what is happening. You have Genis-Vell, who we had seen has that big hole in his chest. He is yelling he wants his negabands back. Oh my God, Carol wants to switch off with Una. That is going to be the big play of, until these negabands disappear, we're going to play the game of, oh my God, Una, you're not powerful for this, almost die, then switch with Carol, and then have some wackiness when the switches come on. But in that, you end up having the school just tumbling down. Una ends up jumping, saves this Leonore, and then you end up where eventually then Carol does switch with Una. And you go from there because, again, we are now, as we said the last issue, we're 12 pages in, and Carol has really done nothing but rub some things and say, hey, is this a chair?
Yeah, she lectured Uni at one point, too, just being like, you need to take this seriously. It's the same time as Leonore starts yelling at them about they need to focus, and both of them are yelling at the same time. It's like, you need to focus on what I'm doing. No, you need to focus on the schoolwork and all that.
I will say right now, Alyssa Wong, if you're listening, you need to focus on who the main character is in this book, who is on the marquee, who is going here, because that is Carol. That's not Una. Una's fine as a side character, a point of view deal, but you're actually almost making Carol the point of view into Una's life. And I don't really care. I really don't. So when you get to this and you finally do get Carol, you think, okay, well, this will be kind of cool now at least. And it's kind of just a lame fight with a Genis-Vell, who has a big hole in his chest and really is just a portal for that villain Omen to kind of reach out and play like grabby touchy, try to grab the Negabands. I mean, you get such silly things here as almost, again, you're going to try to introduce some things to newer readers, but the idea that Yuna's like, can you breathe underwater? Not before. And I'm like, okay, like, that's not what we need. What you need to do is really spell out that you know the Negabands, because it doesn't seem like you do. Maybe give us some Genis Vell background, which you're not going to do. And you just end up having a lame fight scene while, again, Yuna is trying to figure out everything, because Carol just can't or won't. The whole idea of this space-time distortion and magical energy signatures, all these things going on are straight from Yuna, who is in the negative zone, but it doesn't really matter because they're playing the game here of you're just kind of joining up in an astral form next to me and flying with me and doing things. And by the end, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get why the focus is like it is at the moment. But you go again because we have this fight. I mean, it looks okay. The art's decent enough, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I like the fight a little bit more than you. I'm not going to say it was cool or anything like that. It still was pretty lame, but I do like what Captain Marvel says and does during it, because she puts emphasis on like, okay, I only got a few minutes before I go back into the negative zone. So I need to end this quickly. I need to get away from civilians. I like all that, but that's just generic superhero stuff. You could have gotten that with any superhero.
And it's generic super. This is why it gets me actually angry, because, again, we're having the rules then bent towards Yuna. It's Carol who's stuck in the negative zone. Carol's the one who needs to come out. When she uses it, it's just going to go back to Yuna very quickly. I don't know why. I don't know why we have this focus in this where we're going to get more Yuna, which we do in this issue, because when Carol comes out, starts using his powers, it's only going to be a couple minutes before she gets taken back into the negative zone. And that just is weird. It's a weird play. I guess the way we're playing this is eventually they will get rid of the Negabands, you would hope. But even then, you know what's going to happen. Carol's going to say, man, we were such a good team that you should stay. It throws me off. It throws me off. It's fine if you end up where you start out. Have Carol for a couple issues. I said it in the first review. Give me the idea so I can tell if you know Carol, that you have a good voice for Carol. I don't know. Like you said, it's nice enough that she says I'm going to bring them out, but it's generic superhero stuff. And in the meantime, you even said to me before we started that it gets wonky and generic even more when, and again, you end up where Carol's fighting, but Yuna is telling her everything what to do. You got to do this, you got to do that, and then says, oh my God, I think I know where we can go, only to kind of lay low. You need to get somebody, because out of nowhere, Yuna says, you mean that this Genis Vell is going to keep trying to get these Negabands? Like, yeah, and Omen controlling them, all that. So they need to go someplace that ends up masking the Negaband signature. So they're trying to, it's almost like the idea that every Morty is the deal to erase the signature of a Rick in the Rick and Morty stuff. So you end up where they're going to go to somewhere. And you end up having Yuna. And again, it's Yuna who comes up with Carol she's Captain Marvel, for crying out loud. Like, she can't come up with an idea about this play of Negabands and how you can go here, there, or everywhere. They could just go into space. Again, you can't because of Yuna, but still, she's like, oh, I have this idea. This is Yuna. I have an idea where we can go. It's a place that has tons of magic stuff. I mean, this is like, so it's strange how much magic stuff this is here. I mean, she might as well just start going like that. Like, I mean, only a doctor would know how strange this is. Even in that, where as this is going on, you start to think, because why isn't Carol calling on a bunch of people that she knows that love her, that she's on the Avengers right now? I mean,
she's leading the Avengers right now. Surely, why don't take her to the Impossible City, tie it in somehow?
Yeah, you could go there. You could go here. You could go to Wakanda. You can go where you could find some place here and some help, especially against what the whole play is. And in my mind, you are still overall putting somebody who isn't in your superhero world in a lot of danger. I mean, I don't really care if Yuna lives, dies, or whatever, but you're letting her, I know, you're letting her be in some grave danger here, but also letting her, like, lead the way. It's very odd, but while this, I think the first, I even thought, like, at the beginning, why aren't they going to Doctor Strange? Well, they do, but only through Una. It's not Carol saying, listen.
Which is really weird, because I was telling you about this. I was like, well, surely that should have been Captain Marvel's first idea, because if you had read Captain Marvel not even a year or two ago, she was training with the Sorcerer Supreme. You know, she was doing that whole crap.
Always, they're part of the whole crew, you know, so this whole play. And even in the Kelly Thompson deal, she was dating Tony at one point. Things like that. There's so many things that she could do or not do or whatnot. And instead, she's like, oh, do you know where we can go? Una's like, yeah, I got this strange place we can go.
Why is Una so cryptic about this? It's like, oh yeah, it's like the magical stronghold. It's like a Fort Knox. And it's just like, just say Sanctum Sanctorium.
Because she is saying this because she wants to rob everything in the place. This is still going back to that play at the beginning. Hey, are you a good person or a bad person? Well, I kind of, rob things. Well, at this point, it doesn't matter. It really does. And I'll hit the thing because it doesn't matter because they are connected with the Negabench. You got to get these off. So she's big. And also it's supposed to be this wow moment at the end. Oh my God. She was talking about the Sanctum Sanctorum. Oh, really? That's a shock. And Carol does seem kind of shocked. And in the way, though, I think that Carol is, Alyssa Wong's trying to play out the idea of, oh, you steal a lot of things. Do you know any place where these things would be? And hoping it would be just some random thing where they have a storage deal. Well, when you see it's the Sanctum Sanctorum, I think then Carol's like, oh, crap, these are my friends. But again, you should have said, oh, crap, I got to get my friends earlier. They get there, and this is where you play off. And the art doesn't do it in a great way because as this is going on, you still have Una in the negative zone. Carol's trying to get into the Sanctum Sanctorum before the switch because the time is running out. Literally, she could go to the front door and knock because it's Carol, but instead she's going to zoom and crash through. It switches so that Una can crash through. But even then, they're basically together anyway, the way this plays out with this like almost astral projection. They go in, they crash in. Oh, no, it looks like we're in trouble. I swear to God, this is going to end up that it's Dr. Strange or Wong dressed up in some Halloween costume. Like, hey, look at me, I'm a werewolf. It's so ridiculously bad. There's a wolf man there. So you end up where, oh no, what's Una gonna do in the Sanctum Sanctorum facing a monster? I'm like, really?
they have their enchanted pipe.
Yeah, you got that pipe. I mean, somebody's on the pipe for allowing this to get through. If me and you are editors and this comes across the desk and you're like, I don't know. This is pretty good. I'm slapping you first and then ripping it up and throwing it away.
I said slightly better than the first issue.
A crap sandwich. You put a little ketchup on it. Is it a better? It might be a better crap sandwich. It's still a crap sandwich. This is a crap sandwich. This is bad. This is bad again because in 2 issues, there's no focus on Captain Marvel. Is a book that's now hijacked by Una Yang. This is something that is an Alyssa Wong deal. Always does it, but it's also something that I am really getting sick of at DC and Marvel. People not concentrating on the main character that the book is about. And even at the end, it's actually the idea that at the end, it's like, hey, Carol Core. I'm like, really? Because this seems like the Una gang it should be. That's what it should be. The Una Bombers is what I'm going to call them. That's good because this is a bomb. Do you think that would go well? The Una Bombers. I'm in.
I don't think it will.
Yes. So yeah, it says, hey, ongoing series is finally here, Carol Core. Right in. Right in. All right. I won't, but still. And hey, by the way, Carol's still dressed up like Paul in the Sgt. Pepper's thing. You have that new costume, but it does nothing. But what would you give this by the end?
Like I said, I think it's a marginal improvement, but talking to you, I don't know. I was going to go 5.5, but I'm going to just be at a 5.2. It is slightly better than the first issue for me. I know you don't like it more.
3.5. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going 5.2 because even though it's not a good Captain Marvel book, at least you get the generic superhero stuff because there's too many other books out there right now where the heroes are incompetent. So I'm going to give a little credit.
The thing is, I will argue that way of saying that Carol does, she says, I'm going to take them away from people. That's it. Everything else is solved by Una, who is just a college student / burglar that we don't even know and just shows up. And now with this, just remember, Carol is the head of the Avengers right now, not just a member of the Avengers. She is the leader she is leading Black Panther. She is leading Tony Stark, some of the smartest, most capable, and she was elected the leader. And in this one, a college student that seems to be kind of a bit of a slacker and, a little bit, I don't know, flighty, the way they're kind of playing the idea of, hey, you got to concentrate, whatnot, who ends up being like, it solves everything? Please, this is ridiculous. Alyssa Wong, it should be off this book already. I mean, I usually give something 3 issues, but this is just, it's actually ridiculously bad. So that is my take. The art, though, is pretty good.
Yeah, I think
the art's neat, right?
Yeah.
That's that. There you go. I punch you right in the face, and then I rip up the script. That's what I say. But I still think Una Bombers, that's a pretty good thing. I think that's going to catch on.
I think you're going to get canceled.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.